Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you are watching this. And I've fitted the pedal, well, half fitted the pedal box. I've got it in the right position now, so the pedals don't hit the bulkhead anymore. But the only thing is, the two bolts that bolt it to the bulkhead under here, it's not high enough yet. So my plan is to use this, put this on, and tighten up the bolts to try and pull it up so that I can put them bolts in, take this off. I've got the gasket that goes underneath this, then fit the brake master cylinder and the clutch master cylinder, and then fit this bad boy. So yeah, that's the plan. So I'll show you what I mean by it's not lining up properly. You could probably jar it with a screwdriver, but I'd rather try and do it this way. I think this is probably the more methodical way of doing it. Oh, and by the way, I don't know how other people do this because I've not watched anybody do it, but as I said, my pedals, when you try and fit it, your pedals spring out, so that's why they weren't in properly. So all I did was push them back, push one back individually, cable tied it, so it was in a locked position, and then once I got it roughly in, and them levers or arms, whatever you want to call them, were there, I just cut the cable ties and boom. It seems to have worked. So yeah, so like I say, I'll show you what my plan is actually close up. So I don't know if you can see there, well you can just about, that's not far off. Probably looks a bit better on camera than it does, but that one is off. So that's the plan, is to try and like I say, if I come out the car, it's actually got if you'll be able to see, it's not seated properly yet. I can still get just about my fingertip in there. The plan is to fit that plate, pull it up, put the bolts in, and then take this plate back off and put the gasket on and everything like that. Right, so let's start around here. So I've bolted in the master cylinder for the brakes, and obviously I've run the clutch line, the brake lines to the brake proportioning valve. So then the lines have got to come out of here to go to front and rear. The manifold is back on solid now. That was an absolute headache because, like I say, you have to wind out some of the studs, and then you have to wind them back in, obviously, with very little space. That's done. Come round here. Pedal box is in. Steering bracket is in. And if you look up there, one of the pins is in as well. I'm not using split pins. I will be using R-clips. So we're getting there, so I'm going to do something completely different away from all that right now. In fact, what I will do is I'll fit the clutch master cylinder while I'm here. So, fitted the clutch reservoir master cylinder, I don't know what you're going to call it. Anyway, if you notice, look, my brake lines from hell match my clutch line, which is also... Is it a Hell product? Yes, it is. Which is a Hell product too. So this is going to come down to around about here for the Woolwood push-pull. That's at a later stage now. I just wanted to get these in, make sure there's enough clearance, and yeah, I'm fairly happy with that. If need be, I can move that line down slightly, but these are pretty tight onto here. So these are a conversion from Classic Mini DIY. He's in partnership with Hell, and yeah, they're a bit tight, but that might be because of my manifold, I don't know. But yeah, they can move around anyway. So it's amazing how ugly wiring can make an engine look, to be quite honest, an engine bay. Anyway, so I had this wiring loom, I sent this wiring loom off to Rag Racing, Richard, who cut out everything that I didn't need and then left in what I did need, and then labelled some things for me like this, look. So we've got, what's this say? Ignition live onto this, so that's where you connect that to your mini loom. Obviously I've got the relays which will sit up there. I've pushed it through at the moment, it won't stay like that, but I've pushed it through where the reservoirs would sit if this was left-hand drive, and I kind of like it there. So I can tuck this over here. Obviously the wiper motor goes around here somewhere, so we'll have to be careful of that, but the relays will eventually hook onto there like that, and then coming down, and then I've got an earth there. All my throttle body connectors, I labelled this as I took it off. So that's that. What else have we got coming through here? There should be, there it is. There's a lambda sensor which obviously comes round the front, all the distributor wiring and the injector wiring. Now, two problems here. One is that because the throttle body is now here and not here, it roughly would be around here and it'd be sat upwards. Obviously now it's side mounted and it's further over. So because of that, the injector loom doesn't fit. It just physically doesn't fit. Which, no problem, we can extend that. But the other problem is, if you look at that, you can see that the tabs are offset. And if you look at my injectors, tabs are not offset. So that's the only part that doesn't work right now. So let me explain what's going on. So what this means is the injectors and fuel rail are not off the engine, off the Micra that I bought to do this conversion. So at some point, I completely have a memory block here. I cannot remember purchasing new injectors, fuel rail and manifold. I can only surmise that it came with the mock-up engine that was meant to be a good engine when I bought the subframe. I can only think that. I can't remember, but this then posed a massive issue because, or it could have been a massive issue, still could be. My issue is now is that manifold has been made for them injectors and that fuel rail, because the injectors and fuel rail off my Micra, donor Micra, would have been side mounted, and they're completely different. They mount completely different. So like I said, I don't remember doing this, but it's on me because I've sent that manifold to Gareth with them injectors and that fuel rail and said, sort that for me please mate, make that fit my Mini. So complete panic setting. It was like, oh shit, what do I do? Because this now puts a massive stalling block on everything, because if it's a new manifold, one, I need to go beg Gareth, which I think is probably had enough of me begging him, to be honest with you. You know, and it means a whole new manifold, etc. Plus I need to find the injectors and fuel rail from the Micra. I don't even know where they are. I thought they were it. So what I've decided to do at the moment is I've purchased the correct plugs with pigtails off of eBay. So I'm hoping that that's going to solve the problem. It turns out, so then I had to do a lot of research. Steve helped me, Adam Campion gave me loads of confidence. He was like, just send it. The Nissan ECU is pretty good at sort of figuring itself out and getting where it needs to go. So from research that I did and that Steve, Turbo Cooper Sport did, that the injectors I fitted are 180 litres per hour or something like that. I can't remember what it is. And the injectors I've taken off are that would originally come on this engine are 140, I think, 145 or something like that, 150. So the numbers are they're different, but they're not massively different. So again, doing a bit more research, looks like this might be a bit of a nice upgrade, accidentally. So that's my plan anyway. I mean, I need to extend the wire anyway, so that it's a given that I would have to cut and do some work with the wire anyway. But I'm really hoping that it's just going to be a suck it and see. But yeah, panic really set in. Main panic because I don't remember buying them. But like I say, I'm hoping that's going to resolve the problem. From a few people that I've spoken to, nobody can confirm that it definitely will work, but they can't see why it wouldn't work. So there we go, long explanation, but there we go. So that's more or less the wiring. Oh, so the ECU is going to sit on the inside of the car, along with the fuse box that I've got. Let me bring you in and have a look at that. So inside the car now, like I say, this is that's the main ECU connection, and then this is all. So this is, what's this? This is the NATS, the Nissan anti-theft system. So the key and the halo for that is there. And then again, so this says battery life. What does this say? Fuel pump, and then the relays and fuses. So my plan is to put a plate across here and mount all this under here, but have it sort of like on a hinge system where if I need to work on it, it can fold down to here. I think that'll be quite cool. So just some basic probably cupboard hinges or something, but a little plate that sort of like, I don't know, bolts up to here or magnetizes up to here, and then you pull it and then it flops down and I can work on whatever I need to work on, or you know, whoever needs to work on it really, because me and wiring don't really go together. So yeah, that's what I'm up to with the wiring.